Hey everybody, before we get started, I just remind you this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Adam DeHarp, Architect 10, Black Star G, Carlos, Dragon, Ferris, Jeremy Vasquez, Joseph LaFay, Jonathan Sandoval, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Regent Raptor, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Robin, Charvor, Sean Pryor, some guy named Bob, Cyber23, Baron the Crow, and many more. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it will really help us out. Thank you for your support, everybody. Hello everyone, that intro means it's time to welcome you back to Let's Like FGO Wanted, the show where we let you know if you want to roll a 5-star, and also 2 4-stars, because it's part 2 of the Summer Slamma-Jamma, yay! Sorry if I sound a little off, I'm a little under the weather today, including have a little bit of a dry throat, so we'll probably have my energy levels a little low, but I'll still get out the wanted to you. I worked hard to get all this stuff together in like an afternoon, so anyway, again, because these are just alts of existing characters, some of them were already SSRs that have videos on. I'm not going to do the normal breakdown of history, fate lore, mechanic, etc. that you normally get from a Wanted. Again, if this is your first Wanted, you want a more typical experience, go back a couple of episodes now, check out Wanted Castoria. That gives you a better example of our usual system. This will be different, but we're going to do them all in sequence, mechanically, and we'll do the reverse order thing again. So if you want to see your SSR, you got to stay tuned. Anyway, let's get into that right now. Hey, so you notice my graphic package is slightly different. The website I used to gather all this information changed how they format Ascension and Skill Reinforcement, so we get to put all the little things down there, and you can even check the copy. Anyway, we're doing Summer Murasaki first. She is a rider now. She has low attack, but pretty high HP. Not the lowest, not the highest, but, you know, on that spread. We're looking at QQAAB with pretty average hit counts, and fairly average NP gain, so it's a good combo. And her NP is a standard for art stall units you've seen over all these years. Single target arts, 60% chance to NP charge down by 1, and also reduces the target's art res based on overcharge for 3 turns. Isn't that a solid number? First skill is a 50 to 100% chance to NP seal the target for 1 turn, and then 20 to 30% defense down for 3 turns on that same one enemy. So, you know, decent damage effect, they're debuff based. Second skill is slaps a target with 50 to 100% debuff resist down, skill seal, and 20 to 30% arts down on one enemy for 1 turn. So, pretty solid stuff, though the durations are a little low. Final skill is 10 to 20 stars right now, and then 10 to 20% NP per turn for 3 turns. Passes are just writing B. It's not really crazy or new, but you're looking at a lot of art synergy and stall tactics like charge down, NP seal, and stuff. It's very appealing in the meta right now. With her passive NP gain and already decent numbers, you'll find that Summer Murasaki does stuff that are currently popular. Has a pretty good debuff stacking. The main thing you want to watch out for is enemies who resist debuffs for whatever reason, since a lot of her damage output is based on those debuffs. But still, a decent DPS unit, does a wide variety of things, does a lot of that stall, you know, debuff slamma-jamma. The main downside? Stakes and bones! Yes, so her mat requirements are a little rough right now. It's a lot of stakes, even for just Ascension, let alone the bones you need for Ascension and skills, and also some stand arrows. Yeah. So keep that in mind if you want to use her to your fullest, but hey, she's out there, she exists, she does stuff. I don't really have a lot to say about this one. This is a very short segment. Her different Ascension costumes and stuff are cool. Right is an absolute madman, but yeah, the stats and stuff are very straightforward, other than kvetching about stakes and bones, and singers too a little bit. Not much else to say there. So I guess we'll have to move on. Next, we have Summer Tomoe, our lovely VR lady. It is summer vacation, and she is ready to play video games. And also has adorable expression sheets. Oh my god. I'm so glad I was able to utilize some stuff. Anyway, for a Saber of the 4-star variety, she has pretty middle-of-the-road attack and slightly above average HP, but doesn't lean too hard either way. Pretty firmly middle-of-the-pack type stuff. She is a Saber, so naturally she has a QAABB Saber-style deck, has average hit counts, and slightly above average NP gain, so pretty alright. Her NP is an AoE arts, but it does improve Arts and Buster by 20% first for 1 turn, and then it hits all the enemies for 1k burn for 5 turns. This is flat. And then does Spreading Fire for 5 turns based on overcharge. Starts at plus 100% burn damage. Those of you who don't know, Spreading Fire, you know, the severe burn effect, increases the amount of burn damage percentagely? I think that's the word. I don't know. I'm not feeling super great right now. I'm not sure what's up. Percentagey. Anyway, the default starts at 100, so that 1k is actually 2k, but if you get your overcharge higher, the number gets higher. Thumbs up, everybody. First skill is a 1x 3 turns, 1k to 3k guts, pretty decent, and also a 50 to 100% crit damage for 3 turns, which is very good, but it gives her a 3-turn delayed stun. The timer effect for the stun counts as a buff, so it's hard to remove, but I believe the actual stun that procs is a debuff, so you can't avoid it that way, and there's some stuff we'll talk about later. But yeah, this is a very strong skill because it has a demerit. Her second skill is a humble, 1 turn, 20 to 30 arts up, and star absorb up on arts for 1 turn. But this one has a very tight cooldown. The minimum is 4, and the starting is 6. So it's a steroid on your NP and stuff, but it's one that lasts a very short time, but comes back around pretty rapidly. Final skill drops 15 to 25 stars immediately, 5 to 10 stars per turn for 3 turns, and also is 1 time 5 turns debuff immunity. So yes, I believe if you proc this skill correctly, and you don't get any debuffs in the 5 turns, you can avoid the stun, but that's really relying on, like, nobody trying to debuff you or anything weird happening. So, possible, but not guaranteed. Passives are MRA, measures into A for good debuff resist inherently, and a Riding Bipless for that 1 quick card. In these times, Tomoe is quite well-rounded as a unit. To make her do some real work, you probably want some Brave Chains, like, obviously with her Buster up on her NP, it's intended for you to go, like, NP BB chain, so that you can, like, team wipe and then do some big crits or something. You can also do arts crits for rapid NP gains, so, you know, NP AA chains, that'll get you a lot of NP regenerated back. Obviously, looping is pretty easy with Castoria, and this means that because it lasts, like, 5 turns, you can get a lot of burn stacking, you can stack all the effects every time, but, like I said before, if you're trying to, like, beat up a tougher boss, you can use her NP to clear the ads and then do, like, Buster Crit, because she's got 100% crit damage up inherently on that second skill if you max it out. No, the first skill. It's the one with the stun, right. The second skill is just the arts up. Anyway, she has a lot of crit enhancement as well. So, fairly solid, pretty well-rounded, like a lot of different strategies. Also, if you are one of the individuals who likes to do, like, a funny burn team, she really helps turn that on, much like her archer self. This is an AoE, it slaps Spreading Fire and a 5-turn burn on everybody. If you're trying to do, like, special bonus damage burns, like get your most out of, like, Yangui Fei or something, or other units that have burn interaction, she can be pretty potent. There's a few fun things you can do here. All in all, like I said, solid, well-rounded unit, gonna have a lot of flexibility, gonna work well with crits and either her Butts cards? Her Buster cards. Not that Buster isn't already slightly innuendo-y. And arts cards. Can you tell I'm slightly out of my gourd, but I don't have enough time to not be dying or whatever. Anyway, let's talk about the big small one. So that means it is time for Summer Abby, who is still an SSR foreigner. Funny how that works. This is like the one case where some of the wikis that don't normally say blah 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 Summer, they like specify they're a different class. They have to still call her Abigail Williams Summer because she's still a foreigner. And I say, good, make life difficult for those people. Nobody thinks of, well, my first jump was Tama, but Tomoe we do actually call Tama Lancer. But, like, a lot of the later summer units, people don't usually come up with, like, cute class-based nicknames. Mostly you think of the unit nicknames. Anyway, we're digressing a little. So, this is a very interesting comparison because we have the alt who's in the same class and rarity slot as the normal unit. So, how this works out for Summer Abby is she has slightly less attack and slightly more HP than regular Abby. It's a little silly. I do think she has a better deck, though, because it is QQAAB with average hit counts and high NP gain. It's 0.8 something. So they've really learned a little bit from their Abby has a caster deck, but a single target buster NP kind of a thing. Speaking of NPs, Summer Abby's NP is an AoE buster. It removes defensive debuffs first, and then slaps enemies with a defense down for 3 turns based on overcharge. So, obviously intending that you'll either get follow-up attacks, or you'll get loops, or whatever. But this makes it a great way to start off an NP chain, because you can fire off strip debuffs, slap them with a defense down, follow up with harder hitters. So, Abby's first skill has a new debuff. Obviously, we've had a couple years to prepare, and I even alluded to this debuff, because it is a mental debuff, in our last episode of Wanted. But yes, this is the sleep debuff. It functions exactly like you'd expect from an RPG sleep effect. So enemies under sleep can't act, but sleep is automatically removed when you attack them. Pretty typical stuff. So her first skill, sleep on one guy for 2 turns. It removes that guy's buffs. So it's a buff strip as well. It's a single target buff strip. And it has a special 1-time, 2 turns, 30-50% defense down on the enemy who is asleep. So if your sleep succeeds and sticks, that guy gets a defense down for 1 time. I don't actually know mechanically if it goes away if you de-sleep that guy. Well, actually, no, it would go away if you de-sleep that guy, because with the process of de-sleeping him, you're hitting him, so it gets used up. Okay. Glad we could work through that logic again in my head. Anyway, so it's a pretty spicy little single target. You're basically stunning an enemy for 2 turns, so long as you don't attack them. You are stripping that enemy's buffs, which they can't replace because they're asleep. And when you actually decide to wake them the fuck up, you slap pretty hard. Let us move on. Second skill, it's her mass hysteria again. So it's terror on all enemies for 3 turns. That's a timer that has a chance to stun them. And a 20-30% defense on all enemies for 3 turns. Fairly solid. You're noticing defense down is a theme here. Final skill gives her a 30-50% battery. Great way to get started. A 30% debuff success rate on self for 3 turns, flat, and 20-30% buster resistance down for 1 enemy for 3 turns. So a pretty comprehensive package. Makes it more likely your debuffs stick, and gives you battery, more damage. Her passives are Existence Outside the Domain EX, so this means she has pretty decent debuff resistance herself, starts at 12, also gets a couple stars per turn. Insanity B+, which is basically Madness Enhancement, but different. It's Buster Up. And Divinity B+ for extra damage. So you've got a pretty decent package here. In the past years, like when she first came out, I've heard some people malign Summer Abbey because sleep is weird. And obviously, Castoria has just come out, so Buster is out of vogue right now. But Buster will be good again. There are some key Buster synergy units out there. And her damage potential on a single target is pretty good. Obviously, AoE Buster has the lowest damage multiplier in terms of NP damage, but that didn't stop anybody for years after Merlin came out before, this dual Scotty system and Castoria and whatever, right? So, you're looking at a pretty high damage potential. If you max out all her skills and stuff, you'll be slapping an enemy with 70% defense down and 30% buster down without any external buffs or debuffs from other people than Abby. That's a pretty decent damage up. I would just caution you, try not to use sleep as an actual stun, except in an emergency. This is probably why it lasts 2 turns, not 1 turns. 1 turns, But you can use it as an emergency stun, but the ideal is actually you use it as basically a conduit to her damage boosting, and it strips their buffs. Obviously, it's 1 target, so you get to, focus your hate a little bit, and her normal NP is just going to be Buster AoE with removing defensive debuffs first. A solid setter up for a, single target DPS to come in after, but you can definitely massage those damage numbers as well, and like I said, Buster will be getting some support, including the quote-unquote Buster loop potential later. I don't know if Abigail really works out for that exactly, per se, because she's only got, 1 Buster card in her card normally, but still, there'll be ways to get this shit kickstarted. You can actually slap a little bit harder than you think you can. But I will warn you that a lot of this is obviously reliant on the fact that you are getting her skills up, and unfortunately, as a foreigner, her mats requirements are atrocious. For Ascension, you're looking at, tens of various things. Not a huge deal, but it might kickstart a little. You've got to worry about shells here. At least I think it's 10. I'm looking at my little preview window. It might be 18. The graphic that I'm going to blow up bigger in the video is shrunk. But, her Ascension requirements, or her skill requirements, I should say. Oof. Starts with 10 bones, includes chains, seashells, eggs, and comet shards per skill. Obviously, since Castoria just came out, a lot of people are going to be tapped on this. So, definitely get your mat planning on, and consider popping in those pure prisms if you're a big Summer Abbey stan and you want to use those skills to your fullest, because that's really where she shines. You can get some very spicy numbers out of this, but you have to invest, which is rough right now. I get it. The market has completely dropped out of eggs. Okay, alright. That's that stuff, and I think that's everything we got for you today. I know, obviously, like I said, these aren't super long, they're not super detailed, but I'm trying my darndest because they're summers and they're alts and you know a lot of the stuff. Also, like I said, I'm feeling not my best, and I got a little action going on in my throat. You may or may not hear me, depending on how well my editing is. Take a big old hit of my water bottle, like right now. I have no idea if that carried, though. But thank you for tuning in this far, nonetheless. Let's go ahead and wrap up and send you on your way. So, if you like this video, be sure to give it a like. If you have any comments, leave in the comment section down below. Comment on your Catalyst success. Didn't get a lot of action on the last one than that, though it did get a decent amount of views. But, you know, hey, if you get some good luck, I hope it goes well for you. You can wish me luck in the comments as well. This is the banner that I'm going to be rolling on and probably crying as I get, like, 5 Abbies and none of the 2 4-stars I want, because that's just how I roll. Heh. But yeah, hit us with your comments. You can also join our Discord. Link is in the video description and on our channel page. If you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to our channel for more Wanteds, for more of our weekly FGO podcast, Let's Like FGO, break down news from JP, give you spoilers on upcoming events, talk about, you know, story stuff, discuss those kinds of things, and generally keep you apprised of news, memes, whatever. Take questions from the community. Check it out. It's a good time. And even if you're already subscribed, make sure to ring that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video, because God knows when this is actually getting posted. They haven't even announced the banner yet. It's probably going to be a surprise. Thanks, Albert. Thanks, Nissan. But you can also consider joining our channel memberships to get access to membership badges and emotes. The more memberships we get, the more emotes we get. It's a cool little cycle like that. Yay. And, of course, like I said at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon so you could have gotten this episode early. And, you know, I'll throw out there a pity. I'm not feeling great. Consider dropping us a super thanks in the comments. But I think that's about as far as I can push the length on this episode. This has been another Summer Wanted in the books. And I don't know when the next Wanted comes out. I think it's Himiko first. And then Nemo and Van Gogh, probably. But they might pace things out a little bit better. Obviously, you'll know when the next one, and you should hit that sub to know when we get there. All right, that's everything. Thank you and good night, everybody.